process of getting to the issuance of a tax anticipation note. Did I miss anything, Terry?
No, we had a real good conversation with the comptroller, and they recognize the situation that the town is in. And we still have monies in reserve, and I really think that, but every payroll, we're drawing out of water. And we got to pay that back. And I know that we owe water $60,000 right now, at least. And we may have another payroll in there that I just approved Monday. So that may move that up. I think that if I pull all the money that's available in the bank, we're going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of about $120,000. And that will deplete all of our money that's not spoken for in water or gas. So that would probably pay back water and get us through August. But at least half of September, if not all of September, we're not going to have enough money to do the payroll without borrowing money from somewhere. Now, I think that the comptroller, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Llewellyn, I think the comptroller will let us use our own money, but when we pay it back, we got to pay that fund back interest, which is good for us from a standpoint. I'd rather pay water interest than to pay the bank interest, if that's what they will allow us to do. So that's one of the things that we have to really dig into tonight, because we're going to have payroll every 2 weeks, and we can't wait until we need the money and then go through the bureaucratic process of getting the approval from the comptroller to get it. It's going to take a while. If y'all pass this resolution, we send it in, they look at it, and they will approve it or perhaps disapprove it, but I think they will approve it, because the town, I tell folks, the town is broke, but we're not bankrupt. We've got money in the bank. It's just not in the fund that we need it in right now. And we're going to be replenishing these funds, and we're doing better than I anticipated at bringing in. We're bringing in over $20,000 a month in fines, and that is something that I did not project in the budget. So we're going to be good there, but we're still not going to be able to do payroll. And I hope that y'all, if you have questions, ask them, because if I can't answer them, which I don't profess to be an expert on the finances. This is the first time I've ever dealt with this level of finance at a city level. So, but we've got somebody here that can answer. That's Mr. Llewellyn.
Go ahead, Ms. Hansel.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. One, we have a payroll this week, right? That
Yes.
has to go out. Did we take money out of the water and move it to the general fund for payroll?
Miss Bernita, as y'all know, her sister passed away. So she has not been available, and she's not here tonight because she's on family leave. And I hope y'all will keep her and her family in prayer. But I am told that all payroll comes out of water. That's the way United Systems has us set up.
I understand
We're
that.
going to have, but so right now it's coming out of water. The fact is, we don't have enough money in general fund to put it back in water, which is the normal way to do it. It's $19,000 every 2 weeks out of general fund.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, I know the comptrollers, the last time they were here in June, that Sheila told us no more transfers from utilities, but yet I guess we're continuing to do it. We could do payroll the old-fashioned way and not go through the software And that would eliminate us having to transfer. But I know that the comptrollers will not loan us money if we owe utilities money. If we don't pay all the money back to the utilities, they won't loan us any money. And I think they gave you a list of things that they needed us to do to be able to tell us if they could do it or not, right? They gave you a list of
In
paper.
our conversation with the comptroller last week, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Llewellyn,
Sure.
they are aware that we are doing payroll out of water. Now, we're going to get a finding on that when they audit us this year. That's going to happen. But they're also aware that, that Mr. Llewellyn and Miss Angie are going to be working together with Miss Vernita on the budget to try to get our budget more under control. And at the same time, if we do a tax anticipation note, we're going to pay water back. It's just that
We
simple.
have to pay them back before we can get the loan.
I don't think so. I didn't
That's-
get that impression from talking to the comptroller.
Isn't that the case?
There's several things you're gonna have to do, and that's the whole purpose of all the discussion we're gonna have to
Yeah.
do tonight in order to be able to get the loan. I think comptroller's gonna do everything they can to help you and to make it happen. If the problem with paying people out of water and sewer is a cash flow problem, that's a different problem. If the problem is just because that your software won't do
Software.
it,
Yeah.
they were not very patient about you saying that your software won't do it. They said, stop doing it. You
Yeah.
can find another way if it's a software problem. If it's a cash flow problem, I think they understand, and that's the whole purpose of, catching up with the tax anticipation note. And so that's not a straight answer to your question, but they're the only ones that can answer that. And we'll find out when we submit everything, essentially the plan to catch up and balance all the sheets. And that's
Okay.
when the comptroller will tell us what we can and can't do.
He
I
said
sus-
you and Angie were gonna work on it with Miss Vernita, but I thought we were here to try to fix the $128,000.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
sure.
y'all are gonna have to balance the budget, and then me and Angie and Miss Vernita will fix it so that you can come back and vote on it, and then we'll send it back into the state.
Yeah. I suspect, and correct me if I'm wrong again,
Yes.
if we send in, if y'all pass the proposal to ask for a tax anticipation loan, if the comptroller approves it, it will be with conditions. And the conditions will be this much money goes back to water, this does this does that. That's the only way. It'll be a conditional approval. Because the comptroller will help us from a standpoint. They do not want us to have a problem with payroll. And then once we get, right now we're up to our neck in alligators, but once we get the alligators stopped, then we can deal with the budget and we can deal with United Systems. I'm not happy with United Systems, period. But I'm eating this elephant one bite at a time. And I haven't taken on United Systems yet because we had more pressing problems.
I understand, but if it's just a software problem, just download the payroll software off the internet and do it that
Yeah.
way. It's ridiculous for United Systems to tell you that a sophisticated payroll problem can only do it one way. So I suggest you have that conversation with them as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Because something's not adding up
Okay.
about that. Yeah,
But
I understand.
for the
But
board's
the rest of what you
information,
said, I understand and I agree with, and that's the purpose of the tax anticipation note, is to get us to the starting line to fix the budget problems.
if you look at the bank statement, we've got 39,000 in general fund.
And I just want to be clear with the board.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody here at this table wants to do a tax anticipation note. You shouldn't look forward to doing that. But if you don't do a tax anticipation note, you will not meet payroll until October.
Oh, no.
I have a question. Listening to you, Mr. Leggy, you was talking about moving $100,000 that you said that's not accounted for as in,
It's not committed.
yeah, committed it like in the water. So where are you planning on moving that money from?
Okay.
Or you want to move the money from? I say.
We have, if you'll look on the second page of the bank statement that I gave you this morning, we have, it's labeled money market. We have 41,876 in that fund. Do you see that? And then the very bottom line, we have a capital CC fund, which is our money. That is what we get paid from the Core Civic account, and we got 50,000 in there. Well, if you look right above that in the Core Civic fund, we've got 35,322. When y'all allowed me to create the capital CC fund to take the money that's owed to the city off of that, I agreed to leave $10,000 as a floor. So there's 25,322 there that we could move to the capital CC fund, which now boosts that up to 75. Matter of fact, it'll be right at 76,000. You take that 76 and add it to the 41 or almost 42, and that's where I was coming up with that number that we could move over into general fund with board's authority, and that will allow us to operate the city. More comes out of general fund than just payroll. We're spending presently about almost 70,000 a month to run the city.
I hear what you're saying, but that's if you move that money, you drain what's left. We already done drained all our CDs. Something else has got to be done. Because if we drain this, and I'm just playing the devil's advocate, if we drain this and by chance we don't get that anticipation loan, what the ham sandwich we gonna do?
Well, what they're going to do is they're going to revoke your charter.
Yeah.
Because you're bankrupt.
Well, you know what? We can sit here and say we ain't broke. We whatever, however you
Yeah.
phrase it. But when you get through with it, we on the verge of being done that way anyway. Because if we drain this, this just me saying
Yes,
it. I don't know how the other board members feel. But if you looking at this, if we drain these, what you got left?
Nothing.
Well,
Because we done killed all our CDs, y'all. We ain't got nothing to lay on. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. We ain't got nothing left.
No cushion.
well,
No cushion.
the
That's
only
word
thing that
really
I
want.
can tell you is when you overspent last year's budget,
Yeah, I know.
that wiped out all of your cash.
Yeah.
And if everybody would just look at this like it's your house,
Drain my
and
pocket.
you got money in the bank, and you've got bills coming up, it's foolish to let your house go into foreclosure to keep from going and borrowing money to keep it afloat until you know you got money coming in November and December. And that's what it's going to be, a tough year till next year.
Yeah. But you're right to a point. But it's also foolish if you're going to drain everything you got and you got nothing else, Mr. Leggett. And I got what you're saying. Don't misunderstand me. I clearly understand what you're saying. I just don't agree with draining those accounts like that. And tell me this: what if we plan on, if we agree with this? And I know I'm going somewhere else because I'm coming back. But if we agree with this anticipation resolution, don't we have to put in here the amount of money we want to looking at borrowing? And we're talking about, am I correct?
Yes,
we
ma'am.
need a cash flow plan in writing.
Yes, you
Right.
do. You do.
to know
But-
how much.
And
to
that's
borrow.
what
Yeah.
Miss Angie and Mr. Llewellyn are gonna help us put together to get us through till we collect property taxes. My idea now, and I've never dealt with this before, Mr. Llewellyn may know, I know he knows more than I do about it. I don't think that the comptroller is going to let us borrow money on a tax anticipation note with us sitting on $120,000 in the bank. We won't use our own money.
Well,
Now, I'm just
ain't the money we
guessing.
borrowing is our own money? Ain't we borrowing from our own
Well,
money?
we're borrowing it from an enterprise fund,
Okay.
which is different. It'd be the same if we were borrowing it from a bank.
The utility fund.
Yeah,
you know.
we're borrowing it out of there, but if you look, have you looked at and seen what we got in our utilities? So
Yes,
how much-
ma'am.
I mean, we got like, what is a little, at the water, you got what, a little over 230-some thousand.
Are you saying we have to be flat broke before they'll loan us any money?
Well, I'm saying that if I were a bank and somebody came in and wanted me to loan them money and they had 125,000 in the bank, I would be saying you need to use your own money first. Now, I don't know that the comptroller's going to say that.
Well, we really don't need to focus on that. We just need to focus on how much money it's going to take you to stay awake and
Yeah.
stay above water for the next 3 to 4 months. You only borrow what you have to have that month. But if in the end of it, you know, if you end up having to borrow $350,000 between now and October, then the goal would be you would pay back the loan in December when you get the the property tax revenue. But you are, in fact, I mean, if you spend all of your money and if you spend everything you've got and that gets you through August, then you still got September and parts of October to go to. So I don't see a way around not borrowing money.
I don't either.
And I think maybe if we have the conversation I'm going to have about the rest of the budget, it'll help you a little bit with what you're talking about doing. But to be clear, this is just permission to get to the permission to borrow money. It's not the loan. So you've got from now until whenever the actual borrow date occurs to back out of it. If something happens, this is probably going to take a month or month and a half for you to get money. And so, in fact, probably are going to have to spend some of that money that Terry's telling you about because
Right.
you're not going to have anything else. But you'll borrow the money and then you'll replenish that so that you still have some emergency funds. But the resolution just gets the process started. The longer you put off the resolution approval, the longer the comptroller starts the clock ticking. So today we might get it done in 45 days. If you don't approve it for another 2 weeks, then it's going to be more like, you know, the end of August before we can. Well, excuse me.
It'll be the end of
August,
September.
It'll be the end of September. August is a month and a half away in my world, but in the end of September, you know, we're already in August, but you're trying to get yourself through the end of September, and then the property taxes are due in October, and I've asked, but I don't know how y'all's property taxes come in. See, there's a kind of a rhythm to how people pay their taxes. There's always mortgage companies that as soon as they get the bill, they send it in. So you're going to start getting money in October and November. And then right before January 31st, there's always a line of people that come in and get their taxes paid before January 31st, right?
That's correct. The mortgage companies normally go ahead and pay it in bulk, but
Yeah.
a whole lot of our
So,
Yeah.
so I don't know what percentage. So if you're going to collect $260,000 in taxes, I don't know how much of that's going to come in before December 31st. But then taxes you don't get a penalty on your taxes until March. And so there's always in March, there's always a bunch of people coming in March to pay their taxes. And so the issue is how much are you gonna collect before January, and how much are you gonna collect between January and March? As soon as you get enough money to pay back the loan, you start paying back the loan. You might pay it back in January, it might take you longer. But that's kind of the point of it all. The issue though is, in terms of the cash flow, is that if you do these things and you end up using your tax dollars, too much of your tax dollars, to pay for the operations for the first half of the year, you've got to make sure you can operate the second half of the year as well. And that's the reason cash flow is so important, because your obligations don't all come in at one time. I've checked, and I don't know for sure, but I think in December you're going to have to write a check for somewhere around $75,000 for insurance. So it's that kind of thing. That's not a typical month. You're going to have to write a big check then. So the question is trying to understand the flow of cash and when things are going to be due, to know what you pay. In the springtime, you might not have any contracts renewing. The springtime might not be a whole lot of cash going out. So that's what we're trying to look at. Is like, you've got obligations. You've got $895,000 worth of expenditures. Your personnel is almost the same every month because that's consistent. But then you've got contracts that renew. You've got insurance that comes due, and the issue is understanding when they're coming due and how much money you need to get you over this hump and get you caught up. You should be able to pay back the loan and be okay if you can survive until October.
And like you said, that we can, if we go ahead and use this money, allow him to move that money, it'll only get us through to August. We still got to look at September. So if we don't use this money, we're gonna get the money for September. That's my point.
That's the reason that it's important to understand how much you're going to have to spend to get you through August, and then how much you're going to have to spend to get you through September, and do you have enough cash on hand to actually do that?
Yes, Ms. Harris.
Well, you were saying something about apply it to your house, if it was your budget at home or something. And I would say that you also have to look at the option of increasing your revenue. I guess I'd look at going out and getting a second job before I look at borrowing money. But I understand that we have to do that. We're going to have to do that because we just have too much in obligations. Plus, we have this money now to take out of this budget, and we have to get that in by the end of the month, along with the 2026, which we have to close the books by the end of the month. We have to have the meters in by the end of the month. So everything is coming, at one time. But I would say we also should look at ways we can cut expenses now, which would help.
Well, I agree
as
with
well
that.
as increasing some of our revenue if possible.
Well, to give you an idea, I told you it costs right at $70,000 a month to run the city.
Yeah.
Okay. The police are bringing in about 20 a month. Sales tax brings in about 19 to 20. That's 40,000. Well, in my head, that's $30,000 a month that we've got to find as a city. Okay, that $30,000 a month, we got $39,000 in general fund. That carries 1 month.
So
now then, you go to the other months, and we've got to have funds available where we can go get those and move them to general fund to run the city until such time as we get approval to get the tax anticipation note. And then the tax anticipation note, we don't have to get it all at once. We just go get it as we need it, but we have permission to do that. It may be, we may win the lottery.
in the best in the best world though, based on what Terry's telling me, you might have to borrow $30,000 in September, and you'll probably have to borrow another $30,000 in October. But you may not be talking about more than $60,000 because November revenues, it only has to come in to, you don't have to collect $30,000 in property taxes in November to be back on track, and revenues are paying for expenses.
But
So-
don't we have to come up with this 128
So
plus?
you're jumping ahead of
No, we
That's
can
why I'm
deal with
here.
that later. Right now,
That's
what's
why I'm
on the
here.
table?
And it may be that we just table this discussion about this borrowing and talk about your budgets and let you kind of get comfortable with what I want to talk to you about on your budget and this other problem, so you kind of get better understanding of what you're talking about. But with what Terry is saying about the revenues and the problem only being about a $30,000 a month problem, the tax anticipation note may not be a big deal.
Now, agreed, we might need that 60 or even 90,000
Yeah.
to do that. But we're going to have to get that note big enough so we can pay water back what we've already borrowed from them. And so now that's 60,000. I'm thinking it may be 80, but at 60 plus 60, we're at 120. So if they'll approve us for say $200,000, that we could borrow $200,000, then we've got the cushion that we need to do payroll and and through what the board and we do up here, cutting our expenses as much as possible. We're going to come through this. It's not an insurmountable task. It's just something we're not used to. And what's on the table right now is just if the board will approve us making an application for a tax anticipation note, then we get the ball rolling towards moving towards that end. And then we will go to other points on the agenda tonight and future agendas to how we can cut our costs.
I don't have a problem with us voting or moving forward, because we know we're gonna need the money. But you made, let me ask this question, Mr. Llewellyn. Do we have to put an amount in here as to what we thinking about borrowing? Okay, you said 200.
Well, I'm guessing, but I'm going to yield to Mr. Llewellyn and Miss Angie.
So the comptroller won't let you borrow $1 million, but if you put $1 million in that amount, every time Terry needs money, you've got to approve it. So every time you want to draw down on your loan, the board can approve it and you can say yes or no. Every month, he's going to have to come to you with how much it's going to take to function that month, and how whatever comes up, we need $10,000 for this, or we're short this much this month. And so even if you put $200,000 in the resolution, you get to determine how much you're ultimately going to borrow, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's like an open loan at the bank, and they say, come and get it as you need it. And you're the one that will be in charge of going and getting it as you need it. If you don't need it, don't borrow it.
So
Yeah.
I'm just
You're
theoretically
getting a line of credit is one way to look at it.
Right. So if we get the $200,000 and we ain't got the 238, when we borrow that money is borrowed. And are we going to be able to use it for any other purpose? No, because it's from the water. Am I right?
No.
That's what I thought. So what if something come up in the water department?
The water's going to have money in it.
Now, listen to what I'm saying. If we take if we borrow the $200,000 from the water, these 38,000, that's just rounding it off. Okay, we put that's money we borrowed. That ain't no money we can go back and use, because it's borrowed money. So you got 38,000. Say the next day, God forbid, something break down there and need something for the water. What we gonna do?
You have a $246,000 water CD. Push comes to shove. So actually, you've got about 400 and you got 400 and trying to do all this math in my head.
Yeah,
Got
over
about $440,000 in water.
Why,
And we're not going to go get 200,000 immediately.
why isn't that showing up in fund balance?
It don't show, that's why I'm looking for it.
What?
It don't
Why
show.
is,
The
why is,
CD.
why is it only showing that you have 230,000?
It shows up at the very top
Probably.
up here in a CD at the top of that sheet. $246,962. That's in a.
That's a bank account. That's not in your budget.
Mm-mm.
When you balance out your budget in your water and sewer fund, and when it says available reserves, that's where that number should show up.
Well, I didn't do that. Miss Bernita did that. All I figured was on the.
So you left half of your bank account out of your budget.
Sure
Well,
did.
we just.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's important because that's
Oh, yeah.
available cash on hand.
Yeah, because all I'm looking at is the 200-some thousand.
Well, if you look
Now,
at the
this
very.
number here, let me be clear. Can we just start talking
Yeah.
about budget?
Yeah.
Let's just table this conversation
Okay.
for a minute.
Good.
Let me start all over for a second. So Terry and I had a conference call with the comptroller's office, and so y'all are all aware of the budget adoption process. You had trouble getting monies to know what you put in the budget and what the balances were and that sort of thing. So at the end of the year, there was a rush to put together a budget and get it approved. So we sent a budget in, okay? That budget had a deficit. It resulted in a deficit of $128,899. And so the comptroller's office said, we cannot approve an unbalanced budget. You got to balance your budget. We can't approve a budget. So they said you've got 45 days to balance your budget. And instead of having to amend it by ordinances, which would take longer, you can amend it by resolution and send it back to the comptroller's office. So what we're here to do tonight is to balance the general fund budget. So without balancing the general fund budget, there won't be a loan. You're not allowed to borrow money without a budget. So you've got to balance this budget, okay? Now I'm talking about general fund, and I'm talking about your spending plan for next year. Nothing that you have in the bank, all of your bank statements, none of that matters. That's not what we're talking about doing. Your revenues, your budget for next year is an estimate of the amount of revenue that you're going to collect. And then your expenditures are an estimate of the amount of money you're going to spend. The revenues you're going to collect between July 1, 26 and June 31st of 27. That's an estimate of what you think you're going to bring in. Your estimated revenues have got to be more than your estimated expenditures. So tonight in the general fund, y'all got to find a way to either cut. There's only two things you can do. You can either increase your revenues, find ways to increase revenues, or cut your expenses. But you've got to come up with $128,000, and you have 45 days to do it. Okay? So I pulled together some things that I wanted to just talk about in general about your budget, and I hope everybody got a copy of this. If you didn't, I want to go through these things with you together. Set mine. I had some. Well, I'm sorry. I just had some notes on all this. No, it's not going to have those. But everyone look at this page, and this is where we start with general fund, right? So I've just explained that you're $128,000 over budget.
James,
You're
can I-
yes, sir.
I see your revenues. When I did the budget, what I proposed to spend was $733,000.
Well, that's not what was sent to state.
Well, that did not take into consideration water and gas. Now, I'm assuming that the depreciation,
No, this ain't got nothing to do with water and gas. This is general fund budget. Ain't got nothing to do with water and sewer and
well,
gas.
what I gave Miss Vernita was 733,000
For general fund revenues?
for general fund, no, for general fund expenditures.
Well,
I don't,
y'all, does everybody have a copy of this?
Yeah.
If this is wrong, this is what I received a copy of. It said that this is what was sent to the state, and this is what the state said is the problem. So, if everybody maybe will jump to this real quick, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody sees the sheet that I'm looking at, this one. So the front page is the general fund, and we have a list of revenues. And so it goes all the way down from the different sources of revenues until you turn over onto the second page. All right. And so the last column on the page, this far right column, is the FY27 budget. Right. This
Yeah.
last column on the page. This is your budget. Revenues of $766,850. Okay. So now the next category is expenses, and you go second page, still following it. The numbers are small, but right under the total revenue line is the expenditure line. And this is where we start talking about what we're planning on spending. Okay. And this is all general fund, no water, no sewer, no gas, no sanitation, general fund. So if you go down those expenses in general fund, you got the second page totals up general government, and then you get into the police budget, the fire budget, and then the next page over is where we begin to add things up. And at the very bottom of the page, the very end of the page, in that last category, it says expenditures, and the expenditures are $895,749. And then you can see there it says $128,899, and that's what the comptroller is saying you can't have. No.
I'll have to go back and look at my notes of what I gave Miss Vernita. But I can see, I can find an additional $50,000 sitting at this table tonight against the 128. And that's on fines and forfeitures.
So are
Because
you
the
talking
month of-
about increasing revenues?
Yes, the month of July, it looks like we took in on fines and forfeiture 25,000.
Now, are you sure about it's not the monthly number, but the annual number?
Yeah.
No, I only put in the budget $50,000. I was trying to be very conservative. But when I did this, I'd only been here like 30 or 45 days. So I think we're gonna, quite frankly, I think we'll make up the 128 on that one line on revenue side. Because,
Some of it you put in zero because
Yeah.
you wanted to be surprised when there was more in there.
yes,
But we
definitely.
really needed to be more realistic
exactly.
and put
But-
what we thought there was going to be.
And I have to plead guilty here. When I was city manager before, I had an accounting firm that did basically my budget. With the exception, I would give them the numbers and they put them together. This is the first time I've done it in-house. But if we could maintain 20,000 a month on fines and forfeiture, that's 240,000 a year,
So go down to the first page at the very bottom of the page.
where it says
Um,
fines and forfeiture.
The literally the next to the last line on there,
Yeah.
it says $50,000. That's the number. And I want y'all to mark these up so that we all track what you're talking about doing. Because ultimately you got to agree with any changes we make. Okay. We're not going to vote on it tonight, but this is what will be brought back to you to approve. So that number is 50,000.
We made half of that last month in July. How many cases we have on the docket this month, Ms. Lou?
We have,
119,
yes, we've got 119 cases on a 60-page docket. That's correct.
and we had 163 last month.
That will slow down in the winter, fall and winter months.
It will. I don't think
It's
so.
higher in the summer.
I don't think so because most of our enforcement activities are people getting off the interstate, coming down 59, coming down 70, and going back out 59, going to Covington. They don't live here. Those, I mean, unless they've been bitten by the speeding bug, we're probably going to continue to get that. And I'm monitoring the police activity. And I really think that number is going to come in somewhere very close to 20,000 a month. But I'd be comfortable at 15,000 a month as a
Does
projection.
the board agree with that?
I'm a little bit concerned that we if we push this that we're going to have a reputation of being a speed trap, but people will start going around the town instead of through the town, and we don't want that entirely. But I would say to be conservative a little bit with it. Yeah, I think it
Okay,
would
what do y'all want to
probably
know?
be
I think-
close to the 15.
If we do 15, that's 180,000 a year. That's up 130,000 over what I projected.
I just don't wanna put something on here that's gonna bite us in the butt.
Well, I understand.
You know what I'm saying? That if we're gonna put figures on it, let's be kind of at least close to, this is what we actually gonna get. You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's the reason why I'm
Because
cutting
if-
back to 15,000 a month.
Yeah.
Because we took in 25,000 last month. We'll probably do 20,000 this month. But I feel comfortable, and here's my reasoning for it. We've got officers out there working 8 hours a shift. And the average officer works 20 to 22 days a month. That's just average, because I used to be in law enforcement. It's hard for me to accept that an officer is out there for 8 hours and he doesn't see 2 violations. Just 2. Either bad tag or running stop sign or speeding. Well, if each one of our officers write 2 tickets a day, that's 40 tickets a month minimum. And we've got a total of 4 officers out the street. So what I'm telling you is, and I hate quotas, and there is no quota, but as a former supervisor in law enforcement, I want to know what the officer is doing.
We can't spend this much
Yeah.
time on everything in the budget. Y'all need to either say
Yeah.
yes or no or pass.
It's just
We'll come back to
Miss
it.
Lou,
sustainable.
How often have we collected
Let's
that
come back to
kind
that.
of money?
Okay, we can come back to that if need to.
Well,
Not-
we don't
Yeah.
get revenue from the gas and petrol tax.
We did very good last month, but that's
We won't do that much
a
in
substantial
December.
amount of money.
There's a lot of small things in the budget that I ask questions about, and things that we need to sit down with Mr. Anita and look at them, like sports betting. I mean, sports betting doesn't make any sense that you would have collected $3,100 last year and won't collect $3,100 next year.
Right.
So, and then there was no money in there for ad valorem tax, or I couldn't figure out what ad
I
valorem
was
tax
just going to
was.
ask you. I looked and I couldn't find it
And
anywhere
that was
in the budget.
15,000.
It's what?
15,000.
Yeah, I can't find it anywhere in the budget.
I think what it was, a lot of stuff was left out that reached me $128,000.
Well, it can't be
It's
left
for-
out. It's revenue.
Well, what
It
I,
ain't supposed to be, it ain't on here.
I take the
So
that's
responsibility
left
for
out.
that because I look at the revenue side as the stuff that I felt like was guaranteed. I didn't want to project because Mr. Llewellyn had met with us and he said we had to put down something. We can always go back and amend the budget. And I had only been here like 30 days and I didn't have readily available those revenue streams to know that they're dependable.
And what y'all need to do is sit down with the finance director and look at the history of collections and decide what is a good number for you to put down each of these
Right.
line items. And it's important for y'all to understand where the money comes from and what's, as Terry said, what's dependable, what fluctuates, how confident you are in each value. But so there are a lot of little things that won't add up to much money. I
Right.
didn't see, $30,000-$40,000 worth of questions that I had. I don't know the other questions to ask, but again, we're totally focused on general fund and focusing on the revenue right now. Some of the big numbers, like the estimates for local option sales tax and for state sales tax, I've checked those. Those look pretty good projections. There's no wholesale beer being paid. That's a small number, but I couldn't figure out why there's no wholesale beer taxes being collected as much as you're collecting on beer tax and liquor tax. I don't know why there's not.
We have about 4, for lack of a better term, beer joints or clubs. And I suspect they're buying their beer at Walmart or at Sam's, and they're bringing it in, and they're not buying through the distributor. And
But what about your convenience stores?
well, we've only got one,
So, I mean,
Yeah.
there ought to be some
and that
taxes.
just started. And
But-
so I didn't have much to go by,
Yeah.
but we're in contact with the
Yeah.
Department of Revenue.
Yeah.
And I suspect that we're going to be closing in on these clubs to make sure that what liquor they've got in there for sale, the tax has been paid on it through the distributor. They're not buying it at a retail place and bringing it in.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about revenues?
Say it again.
Does anybody have any questions about revenues, about either amounts or where the money comes, what the category means, where the money comes from?
Well, I noticed that, of course, the police grant, they still got grant money, but it's none here for the fiscal year 27.
That was for new grants. And
But they still got grant money.
That would show up somewhere in the general fund reserves as designated police grant money.
Yeah.
And that's going to bring me to this other important question.
Yeah. they have
And I
drug
still wanna
fund,
wait-
but
I want to wait to explain that till we get through all
I
of
don't think
that
we
stuff.
have any grant money.
So, but don't let me forget to come back and talk about
Okay.
grants and sources of funds. Now, going into expenditures, and again, the second page is
Financial.
general fund expenditures.
Financial.
And we go through, the board of mayor and alderman, finance and salaries, and then the general administrative stuff on that side. As you see down, one of the big numbers is property insurance liability, and that's $45,000. You have equipment rental that's $12,000. I'm not sure what that is for, but one of the things that continues to bother me, and that at some point y'all are going to get hit with, is you don't have any expenses for street maintenance, for drainage, for street repairs. You have no employees in public works and no public works expenses at all in your general fund budget.
And I think a lot of this got to do with the fact that everything's coming out of one account.
Yeah, and so
And so it's not being separated.
they're counting the transfers that's taking place back and forth. They haven't picked up yet on the fact that you don't have any public works expenses out of general fund, that you're paying for ditch maintenance and I guess street repairs and mowing and right-of-way maintenance out of utilities. If you're not, it's not in the budget.
They will make us pay us pay that back if they find out, right?
Yes.
So we need to add, move a couple of
So,
employees into.
Y'all are a very small town, and I don't know how much it takes and what percentage that you spend on public works. But you can do it either through an allocation or something, but to look at a budget and not see any expenses for personnel or right-of-way maintenance or mowing, it means that it's not getting done. Well, something's getting done, you're just not paying for it out of general fund. And that's an issue. You can skate by it this year, maybe, but when you're looking at your budget next year, you're not covering the actual cost of running general fund government because you have no public works department. You got no equipment repair, nothing. That equipment rental may be something.
I know
that has
that's
to do with it.
backhoe. That's for the backhoe.
Well, so at least you're paying for this one piece of equipment out of general fund. Okay. And I would say there's also a question about accounting. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I want to go back to where we were talking about these taxes for these pubs around here.
Mhm.
So when they go to the place where they order their beer from, they have to have a tax ID number. So that money that when they pay that, is that considered? How is that count for Mason?
If they're going to Memphis and buying their beer
No. The
retail,
beer trucks bring it to them.
well, that's where the wholesalers are supposed to be paying the tax for the wholesale tax. And then when they sell the beer, they collect the tax on the beer. And so that's where the beer tax comes from and the liquor tax comes from.
So when
But there's no wholesale beer tax. That's the line item I was pointing to.
okay, so well, I'm just trying to figure it out because I do my mom's taxes for her.
Yeah.
Thing. So every quarter they send her a thing where she has to put all of that in.
Mhm.
So is that what needs to be done to show whether we're paying wholesale?
Mm.
So they're gonna have to pull all the records.
Well, the wholesaler is supposed to notify us and send us the tax. Because when you buy beer from, I assume Budweiser comes out of Dyersburg, is what I'm told.
It is.
All right, you pay more for a can of beer through Dyersburg than you would if you go to Sam's to buy it. Because you're paying the tax on it, the retail tax of it being sold for consumption. So they're supposed to notify the state, and then the state's supposed to send the money to us just like they do on sales tax.
So that's what I'm asking
Yeah.
you because I pay her stuff through the state of Tennessee. They
Right.
send me a thing every quarter.
Well, they're supposed to pay us and notify us where that's coming from on the beer tax. And the same thing on liquor tax. If you buy a bottle of liquor through a wholesaler, it's got a tax stamp on it, and you don't want the state to come in and look and find a bottle of liquor in there without that state tax being paid on it, or because they'll shut you down.
So, but what you're telling me is that the state has not sent you any of this money that we're paying in every
Well,
quarter.
That's suspicious. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
You check with
Because
the Department of
we
Revenue.
pay that every quarter.
I'll have to ask Miss Bernita because she gets all the tax revenue forms. And the only thing that's listed on here is basically what she put on paper that we've been getting. And now, if they're collecting the tax and not paying it to the state, then they got a problem. If the state's collecting it and not sharing it with us, then we need to ask for our share.
Yeah, part of managing your finances is going over everything that you're supposed to get, making sure you're supposed to get what you're supposed to get. Because it just happens. They'll just not send you a payment, and somebody has to catch it and realize that we didn't get that month, So it's just a constant battle of managing where your money's coming from and making sure you're getting what you're supposed to get. Those issues are small potatoes, but there are a few dollars to be gained by looking into all the sources of revenue and trying to figure out, are you getting everything you're supposed to be getting? So on expenses, again, going back up here is, ultimately, before we leave here tonight, we need to know how we're going to solve that problem. Do you want to cut any expenditures? You want to ask any questions about expenditures and look at what's on that category that you can do?
Yeah,
Yeah, we-
I was just wondering if, okay, we need to cut the expenditures. I know all of us got this email about these generators. Where we getting the money for this?
That's coming out of water, because that generator back there is for the sole purpose of coming on when we lose electricity to maintain water pressure. And so water will pay for that out of the water. And the water fund, every time we collect utility bill, we're putting money back into the water fund. It is being, we hope, replenished. But, well, I don't want to take up a lot of time. But in 2022, I know it's a long time ago, we pumped 165 million gallons of water. We only sold 60 million gallons of water. We lost 105 million gallons of water. Now, y'all have done something since then to help stop leaks, but we're still losing 43% of every gallon of water that we pump is not being sold. That is a problem.
Along those lines, can I ask you
Yes, ma'am.
about the natural gas? Why we were so much over budget with the natural gas that we bought?
In 2025, on the state natural gas audit,
Yeah.
you lost 22% of the gas that you bought. You didn't sell it. You lost it. And the normal number, or an acceptable number, is 5% or less. So that meant, and we're spending over $200,000 a year buying gas. That means $44,000 of gas that we bought went somewhere. It didn't go through the meters. It could be as simple as our gas meters are 40 years old. Well, they're just like I am. Well, as you get old, you slow down. And gas will escape through an old meter. So we need to look at the possibility of refurbishing all of our gas meters to where they charge for every ounce of gas that goes through them. There's a lot of things that we've
But
got
we
to
need
do.
to focus on, I agree with that, but we need to focus on our expenditures right now so we can figure out how we're gonna come up with this $128,899. And let's take a look at the professional accounting fees. At the second page.
General fund, second page,
On the expenditure.
almost all the way down to the bottom,
Mhm.
under postage, just $4,000.
And I know we're spending more on that.
Well, when I put this budget together, and it's still showing the same thing, we had only spent $3,000 last year in 26. So I increased it $1,000. Now in 25, you spent $11,000. I don't know what that was for, but
Can't we
the
look-
budget I put together was the best possible guess
Y'all,
based on the numbers I have.
y'all terminated the contract for accounting. did you
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have an outstanding
So
contract for accounting?
Well, do we, Mr. Leggett? You don't.
I
know.
haven't seen one.
See, we need.
You know,
we
I'm-
actually need to.
I'm
I
assuming that y'all approved one last year and it hadn't come across my desk as up for renewal.
Well, if we don't have one, that's 4,000. Huh? I'm saying on this professional accounting fee, if we don't have a contract for this or whatever, that's $4,000 we don't need.
Didn't we pay Miss Evans for a while? Wouldn't that have?
Not in 2020. We should have been paying nothing in 2026, 27. I'm just asking the question.
So-
Did you happen to see it somewhere?
No.
This is professional services, and the reason I asked for contract is that if it's anything else besides professional services or contracted services, that it would be in a different category. So this implies there's a contract for accounting, and there's also a $3,500 in the water fund and $5,000 in the gas fund for professional accounting services.
Yeah.
But if we don't have, that's money we don't, if we don't have contracts for that, because that's what he's saying, then that needs to be removed.
Do you remember, Mayor, when the last time was that we paid Miss Evans for work? Has she done any consulting?
She didn't want it. She voluntarily she helped the town. She said if you need her help, he can sign with her a contract for $1,000 a month. But we okay back then. I think it's in October, November. I have to go back.
But we haven't
Yes.
paid
Well, we
anybody
should-
else for
No, no.
accounting except for Miss Vanita, right?
No, Miss
So that can
Vanita
be
did say
cut out of the budget.
So that can be removed out of all three.
just Miss Vanita. That's it.
So we can remove the 4,000. What am I? Somebody get me out. 4,000 on the professional accounting fee, on the expenditure.
I got to write something down. We're on a roll now.
Legal fees, I don't know what you put down for legal fees,
I
but
put down $36,000
These professional fees out. Right.
because I agreed that our legal fees were outrageously high.
Okay, so that's a total, if we take out the professional fees, you got 4,000 here. And you got another 4,000, I'm sorry, 500. Am I looking right? Under public safety, that's professional fees other, what is that other?
And
We got,
in the police, do you know what professional fees are for? Your prosecutor and your judge salary is there, and there's $500. I don't know, but sometimes they have to pay for interpreters, and there's other things
Have
like
to pay
that.
what?
Interpreters. I don't know what it's
We
for,
haven't experienced that yet.
Not yet. No, sir.
but that's $500.
That's
for
not
professional
enough.
fees. I don't know what it's
Because we're paying our prosecutor 500 and we're paying our judge 700.
700.
So it's $1,200 a month
for. Okay.
goes into that line item. And that has changed since the budget went in.
So
would that
last
be
year,
under legal fees, professional legal fees,
No,
not
ma'am.
professional accounting?
Professional legal fees are Patterson Bray right now.
and
Well,
in
we're in
Virgin
the police
Quarter,
department budget. y'all.
We- Yeah.
We're in the police department budget.
Oh, okay.
Police department budget. The question is about professional fees other under police department. It's $500. Last year it was 70. We spent $7,400. So, any idea?
And did they say the prosecutor was doing what?
$6,000 a year.
But that ain't what you just said.
That's what's in the budget.
And the budget reflects the appropriate amount for the judge, I think. $700 a month.
700.
Yeah, so those they did get put in there.
Okay.
The $500 other,
We need to remove that.
there was a note when I set that $500 that I thought was legitimate, but I honestly can't answer that right now at this time.
Was
Yeah.
nickel and dime stuff.
Yeah, $500 not going to make or break us right now.
Which it needs to be
We-
cut.
Yeah.
And cut it.
We can cut that for 4,000 plus that 500.
So these are the kind of things you need to circle and get with Miss Vanita on.
And what about the 40,000 we asked for the increase in the police wages? You said that was to cover their raise. Do you know how much the raise was percentage wise?
I thought we increased
No.
it. We didn't increase
There-
the police for that. We increased the tickets for the cover the judge and the.
No.
No.
Up here in
Where you
under
at?
police
Under salary.
salary.
Oh, you
It was increased by 44,000 or 40 some
Yeah,
thousand.
almost $45,000.
Yeah.
That reflects their current wages.
But their raises they would have had to have been 18%
right here.
to cost that much money. I don't think we gave them an 18%
Yeah, they're
raise.
on page.
I just know what they're
I
getting
was trying to
now.
look just like my
And
page.
I don't know what, that all happened before I got it. I don't know what y'all approved. but I took the wages they're getting now and projected that out, and it came to 284,960 for the year.
So, so what y'all are looking at on spending trends, it's important to note that you're not looking at what you actually budgeted in FY25. You're looking at what you actually spent in FY25. And you're looking at what you're estimating you're going to spend through the end of the year 26. Now, that hasn't been audited yet. 26 is over. But here's what happens on salaries and pay that actual expenses skew. So if you're looking at your actual experience throughout the year and you have a turnover, like one position doesn't get paid for 2 months, then you're always coming in under budget. But when you look at how much you spent last year, that doesn't mean that that's necessarily the same amount you need to budget for next year. Because this year you're budgeting in anticipation of having somebody working the full year. So I don't know if this is true or not, but one of the things Ms. Benita needs to do is look at why you spent $240 last year and how much it actually needs to be for next year. Does that make any sense? If you have turnover, you won't spend as much. And both of these numbers that you're looking at is what you actually spent in 25 and what you think you spent in 26. And so projecting out what the actual pay.
The projection is based on 40 hours per week, 52 weeks a year at their current salary. That's where the 284 came from, 284,960. Because that's the way it was broken down. Because I had the police department submit me a budget, and I tried to get one from fire department, but at that time we didn't have a fire chief, so I had to just kind of wing it there and estimate on fire. One other thing that I will tell you now that I think is deficient in this budget, and I made it up. I put $500 in there for training. That is
5,000
that.
in
No.
fire.
No, I'm talking about in police.
Oh, okay.
Under training, I've got $500. That will bite the city if we have a lawsuit involving our police officers, if we're not devoting enough money to make sure they get the training that they need. Because that first year law student is going to look at how much you're spending to train people that are having the most contact with the public in the city. You've got your biggest liability as your police department. Fortunately, I don't anticipate that happening, but if it does, you know.
So you asked about what makes up fringe benefits, and I would like to see it broken out separately. Actually, I would like to see the budget break out everybody's salary and everybody's expenses and what fringe benefits means. I don't know how people calculate fringe benefits, whether it means FICA, whether it means Social Security, FICA, Medicare payments, or whatever, but I think that's what fringe benefits mean.
It is.
And vacation and holiday pay. So if you calculate the salary and you calculate what you have to pay to give them a week's vacation, that goes into fringe benefits. But it'd be a lot more clear for y'all and easier to see and understand. And then you'd have a better idea of what each employee is actually costing you, and have it broken out for you better.
And I don't know how much on the fringe benefit reflects TCRS.
Yeah.
Because y'all adopted TCRS
Well, see, that's the stuff.
before I got here, certainly, but it's not fully reflected in what you spent last fiscal year.
Well, we need to, I think also we need to look at, and just my thoughts, the rest of the board can say, tell me what they think, but I think we need to look at cutting these salaries too. Because if you look at what you got in this fire department, it went from 62,000 in 75 and 25 to 98,000. That's a 35,000, 30. But that's a $36,000 jump.
That's not for one person though, is it?
Can I say
We
something
ain't
before?
got nobody else on payroll right now.
Again, that was a projection for fire. And quite frankly, it's since then, that was based on a recommendation by Bobby County. And now that we have a fire chief, that can be cut significantly.
Yeah, need to be.
Because the fire chief's salary, what I promised him to get him to come was $20 an hour for the first 6 months. And he's done a bang up job. I mean, he works like a Turk over there all day long. And he's remodeling and doing a lot of things. And I told him after 6 months, I'd recommend a $2 increase in pay.
Well, as we stand
So
right
it'll be
now,
40, it'll be roughly 45,000.
Mr. Ligon, as we stand right now, the struggle we going right now, you might need to have a talk with him. Because we may not be able to give that $2 raise as of now. And that's why I'm saying we need to look at cutting some of these salaries. Cause and I mean we gotta come up with this money. I don't want nobody. I don't want to lay nobody off. I don't want people laid off. I just feel we should maybe cut their salary. They still got a paycheck coming. And I don't want to have to cut it, but come on.
I
I don't see where
respectfully,
nobody coming up with the money from if we don't help cut the salary. And I explained before, if we have to cut these salaries, we can bring the employees in and talk to them and let them know where we at, the position we in, and that we have to cut it right now. But soon as we get back up on our feet, we'll be willing to give them back their salary. I don't really want to cut their salary. I don't. But come on, we're going to have to cut some. We got to cut some stuff if we plan on getting that $128,000.
I can make up the $128,000 on the revenue side.
You must want to take it out your pocket.
No ma'am, no ma'am. I'm telling you,
We're done. Let's go.
Bring in.
the $128,000 is gone.
Yeah,
I will commit to you to that. I'm just saying that now that the more I'm here, the more I get a better feel for the town. I think we would be doing a very disservice to the citizens of this town if we cut the pay. Our people don't make that much money anyway.
They don't.
But what I'm saying is, and they pay the same prices at the grocery store that I do and everybody else does, and cost of living has gone sky high. Gasoline's up, everything's up.
Well, you know what, Mr. Leggett? If we keep going like we going, they ain't no have no job.
Well-
They ain't gonna have a job at all. Then what you gonna say? Price is still gonna be going up. Everything gonna still be going high. But if we look realistically at this situation, even though we don't want to do this, sometimes you gotta bag up in order to go forward.
Well, I'm just saying that
I think we could say that we will consider it as a
I
last
think that's fine.
resort
I think that's fine. I mean, certainly,
because
if we were bankrupt, I would say that.
Yeah.
But here's the whole thing, Miss Virginia.
Huh?
If the city were to go bankrupt, just belly up, and the comptroller came in here and took it over, they're not going to send these people home. They're going to continue to run the city. They're just going to run it under their thumb instead of under y'all's thumb. And all I'm saying is the people of the city of Mason, the only people they see are our employees. And that is what Mason is our employees. It's not us sitting at this table. Because what do we have? 3 or 4 people come in here and watch us do our business. And when we do our laundry is dirt. Just like it is when you wash clothes at home. We're doing the dirty part of running a city right here at this table.
All right.
But our employees
Can I
do
get
the
this
good
back
job.
on track?
Please.
We have got 45 days to balance the budget. You can talk about it, but at some point, y'all have got to put numbers on this page that balances the budget. Y'all have got to agree on how you're going to do that. And if we go into a lot of detail on everything, we're going to be here till midnight. So,
Can I say something, please?
All
Miss Miss
All
Mason
right.
has a
Comment
question.
about the health confrontation, what we do. Do we have a minute to talk about it, or anybody want to add something to the
Yeah.
budget?
No. I do, but getting back to the budget on the police salaries that jumped from 240 to 284. I do agree with Mr. Llewellyn because of turnover. I think we need to drastically decrease this from 284, number one. And I do agree with him about the training from 500. We need to probably give that another 1,000 or so. I just want to know what you guys think about that back in the police budget, because we may not have all these officers. We may lose a few. So, and we can always amend the budget back,
You're-
but we need to decrease some of these numbers.
I'm gonna argue for the police, and let me tell you why. And of course, that's where my background is. They're one of the few departments that's putting money in the general fund every month. You don't want to cut off your nose to spite your face.
I didn't say cut their salaries in the budget.
She's
That's what I'm
talking about what I was talking about.
if you
I'm not
anticipate,
saying
if you anticipate the possibility of turnover, you could reduce it some because
Yeah.
their
There's-
turnover is.
There's some other amounts that are reoccurring in here. There's a $1,200 that comes out of every department, and it's labeled planning assistant. It's budgeted every year, but there's never a penny of it spent because I have no idea who a planning assistant is. I don't think we have one. So
He's
I
the
don't
guy
know why-
Is this our planner? Is that the plan code?
That's not our plan.
What is
no.
the name?
It's
Mr.
planning assistant that I think used to be somebody did that, got paid that way from every department, and it stayed in the budget, and it doesn't need to be in there anymore.
Well, we can remove that.
What about the police salaries?
Let's-
What do y'all
that is-
think
that's
we
your
can do with
local
this?
planning
We need to
assistant,
vote on
$1,000.
Okay,
Let's say
wait.
we-
If we already said move 4,000 in the 5, you saying remove how much? How much is a total of 20,000? But you said it was in everything, every department, right?
Well, yeah, I see it over and over again. In
But I'm saying, do it totals up to that 20,000?
no. The 1,200
Times
It's-
4.
probably in here like 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
That's what it is.
That'd be 4,800.
What page you looking on? Because the one I'm looking at right
pages
here,
aren't
it
numbered,
says, 20, if I'm not mistaken, 20, 2001, so I marked it wrong.
It's right, it's right here under, financial administration salaries, and then it says local planning assistant one, $1,000. But normally it's 1,200, so.
So you want to find out all of the places you have planning assistant. and got it?
I'm gonna look for them.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. What's next?
I still want to know what they think about the police salary. Can we cut this at least $20,000 and put another 1,000 in the police training? Is that anything you guys would think about?
I think we could, cause like you say, if need be, we can always go back and amend what we need to amend.
Now, we'll be clear, we're not cutting anybody's pay.
No, we
Right.
not.
We're just gonna
Right.
We
look
just-
at what the actual
Right,
number is.
we just talking about the actual amount here.
Right.
I would like for you, while you've got your green pen out,
All right. So let's
I
go
would
back
like
to
for
this.
you to add
But let's-
130,000 to the revenue side.
Well, let's go back to the police. So we got that on the floor right now. Who agrees and what amount do you want me to put on the board? Cut salaries 15, 20? Do I hear 5? 10.
Say
Yeah.
20 from 240 to 260.
But 284, it's 284,
It'd be 260.
Yeah,
to make it to 264, right?
from 240 last year. To
All right.
No,
260.
we talking about what you gonna cut right here though.
Right.
You want 20,000 out of it? Okay, that's what you
Right.
talking
That's what I was.
about. Okay, that's what I thought you.
And we can always amend it.
If need be.
If need be.
I found another planning assistant that has $2,000, and
Okay,
that's
that's a
in the
2,000.
water.
We'll get rid of all of them.
Okay, you gonna get rid of all
Get
them.
rid of all of them. All right, we Terry's proposing to add revenues, and which line items are we increasing?
That would be fines and forfeitures. I want to go to 15,000 a month, which I think is conservative because we did 25 last month. We're going to probably do 20 this month. If we can maintain 15 a month, that's 180,000 a year. Minus the 50,000 that's already in the budget. So that's an increase of 130.
Planning assistant, is that this one?
Okay,
Or
We're
this
gonna
one?
move
does the board agree with
You're
that?
gonna remove
Which
all of
one's a different amount?
Consistently added
Total.
130 to
them.
revenue for fines and forfeitures.
And if you do that, the budget's balanced.
18 per month. I'm projecting close to
15,000 per month.
That's what I said. What about the
We can't go any further until we just get one thing done at a time.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with that?
That number makes sense.
So we're moving the fines and forfeitures to 130.
No, we're moving, it,
15,000. I'm sorry.
Adding 130.
we're adding 130 and we're moving it to 180, which reflects 15,000 a month.
And fines and forfeitures.
And we've already got 50 built into it. So up here on the wall, we're only adding 130. And if you add 130 and 766, 850, that comes to 896, 850, which is over $1,000 more than what our expenditures show before we remove anything.
Okay.
So we can balance the budget right there.
If that's consistent.
But she wants
That'll work.
also, she
We're just gonna have to
suggested
make it
on
work.
the,
And that requires me to stay in the chiefs here
adding $1,000
and make sure that everybody is doing their job out there.
$1,000 to the train.
And
To make it 1,500.
Make it 15.
2 tickets a day,
Mr.
8 hours.
Mr. Ritha, did you get that? Increase training in the police department to $1,500.
Training to 1,500.
Yeah.
Why do we
You
have
got
5,000 in
it,
training in
20,000
the
for
fire
the police
department?
department, right?
Fire department requires more
You
training.
got the 20,000 from the police department.
Well, yes, ma'am, because you brought it down to 264.
Yes,
Yeah.
Now, on the fire department salary, we need to bring that down, it's 98,000.
I would bring that down to 45.
Okay,
What Bobby Cannon had
How much is
suggested.
that's gonna be a total of 50,
How much is of a reduction is that? I'm
Fifty-
sorry.
it's gonna be 53,
53.
53,000. Ms. Luke, you got that, we moving 53,000 out of the fire department salary.
Okay.
So now we're getting that number on closer to 800,000.
Terry, can I ask you?
Yes,
something?
sir.
Regarding about the police department fuel, how much we use fuel every month? Average.
I don't know. The meters do not work on our pumps.
I know you get it from up there.
Well, we get it both places.
Yeah. How much we spend the bill every single month for the fuel for the
We're probably spending close to 1,500 a month. That's my guess.
1,500.
Okay, let's go.
No way. Spend over 5,000-6,000. You get the bill? We get the bill.
She found one for 2.
I approved some, yes,
She said it was
but they're for both places. And I don't know how much of that is Public Works and how much of it's here.
Yeah,
Okay.
What I hope,
let's stick
I don't
with
want to
it.
interrupt you.
All right, no
What I
problem.
want to do is go
So-
to a system
So
where
we
we
need
know
to talk
exactly
line
how
item
much
numbers
the
and
police
amounts,
get, how
and
much
the
the
faster we
Public
can wrap
Works
this up, the
Because-
faster we can
and that
get
will
all
be
the
a
stuff.
code
We still
system
got
where they
other
plug
business
in
to
a
do
key
tonight, so.
and get it, and it's assigned to a specific card, and I have to put the
So-
mileage in.
What are we doing? I'm sorry, line item, what? I just heard the line item.
Line item numbers, are you okay with them? You wanna, is there other stuff you wanna cut? We've gone through some of police, we started with fire
Well, I
salaries.
wanted to ask you about, address, what happened, the situation happened today, because, that will reflect pay,
Only for a little while,
huh?
only for a little while. Till we gotta advertise or somebody.
What happened today?
It's fringe benefit. On the fringe benefit, under the, why is it so high on the police fringe benefit?
But we just talked about that.
I know,
Vacations
but-
and holidays.
The vacation.
And they-
It's based on salary.
Yes, and they're, what else?
But they got that much fringe benefit? How-
Well, they don't
I
get
mean,
any more
I
than
know it
anybody
has
else.
Everything else.
They don't get any more than anybody else, other than
Okay, then why-
they're some of your highest paid employees. Therefore, their fringe benefits is the same percentage as your lowest paid employee, but taken as a whole, it looks like more on paper, but it's the same percentage. In other words, you've got
If it's,
8.5% Social Security, and then you've got all the other things that factor in plus your TCRS.
On this professional fees, others, what that? That's $1,000 under the,
I think that
expenditure, on the first page of the expenditure, you got $1,000 under the professional fees, others.
is that for police.
No, this is under the expenditures after the general fund.
Miss Bernita have to tell you what goes in that block.
Right here.
Some of the rental for the police department
And
is the
you got-
Skycop cameras.
Yeah, that has its own line
Yeah.
item, it's not
Oh.
that,
We got it over here.
It's
You got
not that,
another
it's not in the
professional
police department, it's
Okay.
on the
That's under the police
second
department.
page,
Okay.
somewhere
And what-
down
First,
here.
the
under
first one
general
is under
fund.
general fund, it's
Yeah.
under general government, so I don't know what
Yeah,
that's for.
That's what I'm saying. The first one I asked y'all about is under general government. Why we got $1,000 there under professional others? Can we remove that for the time being? Because I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's being used for. Under the general fund, professional others, on the expenditures. You got a professional other there for a whole 1,000.
We got professional services.
No,
Yeah, but
Go down to the
professional
bottom of
fees
the
others.
page.
It's
Yeah,
down here.
yeah, I
Is it
thought-
down here?
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
It's 1,000,
Yeah. Is that
but
the-
then we also
really-
have 1,000 in training, and we don't know what that training's for.
I
Who
don't
it's
either.
for?
That really shouldn't say
Who's that training for?
fees because it's professional services. It implies that you're paying somebody contractual services. That's what it's for. It's not a fee that you're paying somebody that I know of. It's
So it can
paying.
be removed.
Well, I don't know if it can be removed. It's don't know what it's for. If the board wants it
Yeah.
removed, you definitely can remove it.
The
And what
thing,
is the training for?
the thing for the board to remember is nothing gets paid unless it comes across my desk. And y'all have raised some great
Big
questions.
numbers.
Some of this was money that was put in this year's budget that I didn't know what it was for, but I didn't want to cut it out because I didn't know whether it was necessary. But as I'm learning and as an invoice comes across my desk, I'm not going to approve it unless I've approved the training or whatever. I don't know what training we would need. I'll be quite honest with you.
But
Well,
if we just increase the
Your,
training,
your CMFO is required to get 16 hours a year. I don't know if all that has to be paid for or
To
not, but to
maintain
keep
their certificate.
certification, they have to
Yeah.
get some credit hours. Yeah.
I was wrong about the 12,000. that
BMA
you asked.
BMA needs to do some training too, so y'all are required to get training. It may not be that you have to pay for it, but there are some training requirements in the general fund that y'all
Yeah.
might want
yeah,
to
we
leave
have
in
to
there.
have some training.
This equipment rental for 12,000.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's for. That can't be for water because it's not. It's in the general fund. So I don't know why it's 12,000.
You said least in
Well,
it.
It's
I
for
don't know.
12,000.
Is it for our copiers or? It's rental of equipment of some kind. So what do we rent for the officers?
It shouldn't be no 12,000.
How much were the copies?
How did
for the
it
copy
go?
machines?
And in the
was
previous year, it was just 6,000. How did it go double to 12?
That's what I'm saying is I don't know what it's for then. What
Well,
did
I
we-
Mr.
think-
Leggett, do you know how much we're paying for the copy machine? Mr. Mayor Norman, I'm sure you probably remember. How much are we paying for the copy machines? 'Cause
You
I
have
know
to
we
check with
just,
Benita.
That number came to me from Benita, but I don't remember. I mean, I did this 2 months ago and I've slept since then. I don't
mean, we
remember
just
what she
talked
told me,
about
but there was some
12,000
reason
for the year?
that I put 12,000 down as opposed to the 6,500 that we were expecting last year.
Well, no,
So,
there was 65. It
let's-
was 11,000.
Oh, I
Three
thought-
hundred
maybe I'm
and
looking-
then 12,000.
Equipment rental on the expenditure
Wait a
for
minute.
Not on
12,000. We
equipment.
can move
Where am
that
I?
back to
Where am I?
6,000.
6,500.
I'm in the wrong column again. Okay.
Y'all on the same page with me?
I'm moving back to 6,500, what you saying?
Yeah, move it back to 6,500.
What you want to-
So that'll be $5,500 difference.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Right
I
here,
don't know
this
why.
equipment rental
Equipment
on
rental.
the expenditure,
Yeah, I got circled. You wanted to go to what?
5,500.
Okay.
55 or
65.
65. Yeah. Help me out. Help me out. Help me out.
Okay,
But that means we moving 5,500 though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
that would reduce expenditures by $5,500.
That's the rental, that's the equipment rental, Mr. Lewis.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanna make sure we all on the same page.
Thank
We
you.
couldn't, do we not know what the rental is for?
Well,
I
you know
don't
what, we
We
need
just
to
know
look
that
at
it
that
was
for real.
6,000.
I can only
Later,
assure
but right
you,
now, we're moving it from 12 because we ain't been spending 6,000.
How much
Well-
are the copying machines though?
Miss
That's what
Virginia,
we need to know as
I
well.
I can assure
Sign
you
the contract.
that if I upped it from 6,500 to 12,000, Miss Vanita or someone told me that there were more expenses there than 6,500. I'm just saying that
It
because
jumped up to 12,000
I didn't
for
just
a
reach up in the air and come up with that 12,000.
reason. It jumped there for a reason.
What do you all want to do? 10,000?
Well,
I mean,
here's where I'm at on this. And James, correct me. We can go line by line, and we'll be here till tomorrow. But if we've increased the revenue sufficient to cover what our reported expenditures were projected at, the comptroller's going to pass our budget. If we make one budget amendment to amend the fines and forfeitures by that amount of money, then we're in balance
The fines and
without cutting any expenditures.
So, so here's what you do. And we'll go through all the questions that you've asked, and we'll get with Ms. Vanita and look
Yeah.
at the expenses and validate what you have discretion over and what you don't have discretion over, what's got to be paid and what you can cut. And we'll look at those. We'll bring you back a new budget,
Right.
and then y'all can have another work session with Ms. Benita and go back, and I would say to keep all of these, mark your questions up. Next time around, if there's more things you want to pick at, we can do that as well. The budget is not about how much money you've got. It's about how much you want to spend. And it's about what your priorities are. So, you know, if it doesn't matter if you've got a lot of money, there's things that you don't want to spend it on, cut it out of the budget. So, but Terry's right. You've got a balanced budget. We've got a place to start, and we've got essentially the problem solved. So we can cut off this part of the discussion tonight, and I'll go over a few more things with you if you'll let me.
James, if you don't mind, please,
Yes,
before we move on, I want to comment about all this conversation, what we discussed today. For like a short period, I'm going to make it short and clear for that.
Okay.
Number one, regard about generators. You know what Mr. Lager, he requested about new generators. 2025, we have the state coming here in November or October, and they make a review with Mr. Carr and Chris. Go through the whole system, and we test everything, and everything was working fine. We got a report from that. That's number one. The only thing we need to buy, and we did, I buy new battery from AutoZone. And after that, everything is working fine. The state approved the report from Mr. Carr. Mr. Carr, he's gonna send email to everybody about the status of the generators. So we don't have to waste money to go buy new generators or whatever, because you know the season up here for salesmen try to making some money, and we don't have money to buy a generator. Everything is working fine. Everything is tested. We got a company, Mr. Carr, he's willing to pay from his pocket to come in up there to test the generator. So generator is no. Everything is working fine. Everything is fine. This is number one. Number two, regard about the leaks. Okay, when I take over 2023, I fix, me and my crew, my dream team, 85 leaks, and the Mr. Ricky Oakley. They have the data, how much we used to have, how much we spend it, how much we wasted. So we got good report about the leaks. We do know right now in this minute we have leaks everywhere in the town. We got almost every other day. Citizen called me about some leaks, but we're not gonna fix the leaks until we finish whatever we finish with the meters, because we cannot get the meters after that with the leak. Right now, if you go behind the police department, this building, we have a leaks here almost for 2 months and a half behind in this building here, and we never reach it out to it because we have priority to care about our system up there. Number three, regard about it, we try to pass the budget until we get our taxes. Okay, what I see, what I read between the lines for all this confrontation, what we have it here, we try to reach to the taxes. Okay, when we get the taxes, we're gonna pay back whatever we have, and we're gonna pay the salary wherever we have. The taxes we suppose have to care about our street and the citizen. But when I read between the lines, you care about the salary, the payrolls for all these. And I'm not in it with it. And I understand we have to operate the town with some employee, but we have a different way how we cut the employee, because we waste a lot of money with employee, but we try to receive almost $250,000 from our money to give our money salary. It's not a service. We supposed fix the street, buy new equipment for almost a year and a half. I tried to buy some equipment for the public work, but we cannot get it because we wasted money somewhere else. End of the day is, I agree about some point, I disagree about some point, but the end of the day is we have to focus about what the citizen need is not the payroll, and we not down here speed trap. We try to get more business here in the town. If the gas station, the new gas station open, and the people try to open more business, and after that we're gonna get bad reputation about the cops give us speed trap for the town, like what happened with Galloway. Nobody coming through Mason, nobody gonna open a business because we not in business to find the people ticket. We try to bring the revenue up there. Is not, hey, we're gonna after everybody to get this money, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 from the ticket to give salary to the people. No, we come in here to serve the people. We not a speed trap town for that. That's it. This is what I want to say. I agree about some point. I disagree about some point. But at the end of the day, we pay the taxes to care about the citizen. Our town is not the payroll for the people working here. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Mason.
As far as the generator, Mr. Hall stood up here and told us that it was more than the battery that was wrong with
No,
it.
it's better. We'll give you the report.
Okay.
We got the report
And
for
then as
that.
far as the businesses, not all the businesses here in Mason are paying taxes. So, I mean, I know we have a dealership down here, car dealership. I'm not sure if they're paying taxes. That'll be a big revenue if they started paying taxes. We have several businesses.
Did you know how we're
paying
working
taxes.
with the taxes? Every 18 months, you have to report what you do. If you buying or selling or taxes, whatever it is. If you selling something, you have to pay by your report by the 20th. And I have a good idea. Why appreciate you if you can. Why do you open your own business in Mason if you're a citizen of Mason? Thank you. Yes, Ms. River.
Mayor, thank you for everything you said, but we really need to get back to this so we can
Okay.
you know,
That's what I'm just
finish
trying
what
to.
we gotta
I'm
do.
just listening to everybody what you say
We need-
because
Yeah.
we're going to the wrong direction, guys. Thank you.
We spent a good bit of time talking about general fund, and budgeting is a 365-day a year proposition. It's not my job to tell you how to spend the money. I'm not an advocate, and I'm not going to tell you you
Yeah.
can't spend it. If it's lawful, you can spend it any way you want to. That's not my job. My job is to tell you that the comptroller is going to require you to have a balanced budget, and you got to
Right.
find a way to make that happen.
Right.
And you have, and so when we bring back these things, it'll be an acceptable budget to the comptroller. But like I said, the budget is about your policies, your priorities, and what you want to spend money on, and that's up for y'all to debate and decide.
Well, that's just a quick question I have because I know sometimes it's not just money that you can subtract up there and take off, but
Right.
there's also sometimes items here where there's not enough money budgeted and you know there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I was just curious as to how the janitor services could go from 7,800 to 1,800. Does that mean that we're not going to have anybody clean anymore? Because there's only 1,800 budgeted, which means she's basically not going to be paid. Is it?
So those are the things like that we have to look at, you know, about, like you said, we got, and like the one Miss Mason brought up.
I mean, why
You know,
wait till later to amend it if we
Well,
can just go ahead and
I'm
change
just,
it?
I'm agreeing with you.
Can't
Yeah.
change everything.
I think
I know not everything.
if we can, in light of what time it is, if we can go back to our agenda
That's what I'm trying to get.
and
at.
let's work through our agenda, and then we'll schedule another work session. And I would love for each alderman to write out 5 things in the budget that concern them. Each one of them. And you can send it to me by email, you can send whatever, and I will try to have those answers for you at the next workshop so that we can deal with those 5 things. After we finish those 5 things, then we'll go to the next workshop and you give me 5 more that you see. But I think, and for time wise tonight, if we can go back to the first thing, and will the board decide whether or not they want to pass a resolution to ask the comptroller for a tax anticipation note so we can get that ball rolling?
I think we should add that to the agenda for at the board meeting.
Tomorrow night?
Yeah.
I mean, next week?
Yes.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, since we can't vote on it tonight, I think it should be an item we vote for.
Do you think that'll work, Mr. Llewellyn?
We can't vote tonight.
It's just postponing it a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since we can't
uh,
vote tonight.
I'm not postponing it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's been-
We're not voting
Well-
on anything tonight.
It just said
It's-
discussion.
Yeah, this is for discussion, but be prepared next Monday night.
Yeah.
That will be on the agenda. And if you pass it, we will start the 45-day period that we're estimating to get authority to do that.
Is that going to give you
And I
enough time
agree.
to provide them all the paperwork they wanted, all the things they asked you for?
They have sent us a copy of a resolution. Is that correct, James?
You got that.
Yeah. Adam Tashita sent it. It's in our packet.
Okay.
We will have that prepared, and I will work with Mr. James and Miss Angie to come up with a number to put in there.
Well,
For-
that number need to be decided by the board.
Well, I know, but we'll put that number in there in the resolution, and then the board can modify that any way you want to next Monday night.
They need to tell you how much they think they've got to have. And
Yeah.
then y'all can ultimately decide if you're
Right.
going to go along with that.
And don't you have it ready by Monday night, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Mr. Llewellyn, I want
but-
to ask you
Yes,
something.
ma'am.
I'm sorry. I know you guys keep talking about budget workshops, but we have to have this complete in 45 days. And of course, you all know it's 15 days before the first and second reading. So we can't continue to have budget workshops. We got to get the budget done
Well,
And-
we can have a
and
special
voted
call
on.
meeting,
right
And-
instead of
and-
all the budget workshops.
special call meeting / workshop. We can do it both at the same time. But it's got to be on the agenda to be voted on before we can advertise it.
So,
We've pretty well whipped the second item. We've discussed the budget, and some great things have come out of our discussion. The consideration to terminate the
I'm not
contract.
through.
Huh?
I'm not through.
Oh, you're not through? Okay, all right.
No. So you got Terry and I got an email from Adam Tashida at the comptroller's office, and they're saying they need the following. They need the amendments to balance the budget. They need bank statements for every fund from January 2026 to present, to current.
I think those have been sent.
Okay. And
I will
and
verify
if
that
they-
with Ms. Burnett.
and of course they need the tax anticipation note request, but they need those things before anything else happens. And they also emphasize to us that during the budget work sessions, there's these monthly reports that are supposed to be filed, and they're late, and sometimes more than a month late, and they're basically saying to Terry that can't keep happening, that they've got to start getting those reports on time. That may be a staffing problem. If there's a structural reason you can't get those reports done, it's going to be incumbent upon the board to either get the additional help you need or do whatever. But balancing your end of month financials every month is absolutely critical, and especially since you're technically under an order from the comptroller's office for compliance, and so take those things very serious and make sure that those things don't continue to go in late. And then I want to just make one more point about budgets, but I think some of these things are important. When we talk about your budget, your total budget is 6 different funds. We've talked about the general fund. Y'all did some improvements on your water and sewer fund, but what you see here on water and sewer is that you're projecting revenues of $973,000 and you're expecting to spend $742,000, which means at the end of next year you should have an additional $230,000 that you can put into fund balance. That's how much of a surplus you're expecting to have at the end of next year. But what we talked about before was that when you're reporting your budget and you're reporting in these budget line items and you show the balance on your water and sewer fund, you should have reserve funds listed at the bottom of the page. And so all of these bank accounts, the thing that's most important about the bank accounts is where the money came from. Because Terry's talking about what he has already in the bank. So throughout the year, you're going to be depositing somewhere around $230,000 into the water and sewer fund. You've got to make sure that those funds are put in the water and sewer fund and they're properly accounted for. And then in the gas budget, you're projecting that you're going to spend $471,000. You're going to take in $471,000 in revenue and spend $323,000, which means that in your gas fund next year you're going to add another $147,000, which is good. It means that this is funds. This is actual money. When you look at your budget and it reports your net position, that's not the same thing as reserve funds. Net position, I actually wrote a little paragraph out to help you explain. It means it's what your net worth is. It's the total of all of your assets minus all of your liabilities. And we all have a net worth. It's how much our home is worth minus how much we have in debt on it, how much we have in savings, and all of our obligations subtracted out of it. That's the way the comptroller's office keeps up with the financial condition of your gas and water and sewer, is your net position. Net position needs to be a positive number because that means the value of your water plants, your sewer lines, your valves and everything is included in there. That doesn't necessarily reflect how much cash you have to spend. So keep a good accounting of how much actual cash you have in the gas fund, and make sure that when these things are deposited in a bank account, if they're commingled with other accounts, don't look at the total in those accounts. Look at what each of those dollars are for. In your sanitation fund for next year, I didn't see anything of an increase. I'm assuming you're operating under a sanitation contract, and it'd be kind of unusual if they're not going up on your contract next year. So
That was already taken into effect, and we adjusted sanitation rates, and that's reflected in the budget.
well, it was the same thing it was last year.
Well,
Always increase.
what we did,
Well,
We're
if it's
losing-
right, it's fine.
Yeah.
But
we're losing 45 cents on every house per month.
Yeah.
Because they went up, but we didn't pass that on to the consumer.
okay.
But what we did,
So
we passed
the contract
the
didn't-
commercial
Yeah.
went up, and we passed that because that can be spread over all their customers. And what we make off commercial will make up what the residential rate went up.
That's
All right.
correct.
So I'd forgotten all that,
Yeah.
but just looking at the sanitation, your budget was the same as it was last year, and I thought it was just unusual that sanitation did increase. Now it shows that the sanitation fund has a reserve of $26,153. So do you know where that money is?
We've got 11,750 in sanitation fund at the bank.
That's the reserve.
No, that's how much is in there. And then we collect money every month for sanitation fees that goes into that account, and we pay the sanitation company to pick up the garbage. And so that number should grow, but it's
Are you
Well, this is the number that you turned into the state. This
okay.
is a number in your budget. Looking at your sanitation fund, it says that, again, this is where I picked it up. Sanitation last year was $130,310 in revenues, the same projected. The total expenditure is $125,000. That's exactly what it was last year. So that's the reason I asked the question. But then it says, well, it says net position, so I'm sorry, I looked at that as reserve fund, but that would be net position, not surplus. So,
Okay.
so you're right, Terry.
Don't scare me.
So then the state street aid fund, the state street aid fund, the only expenditure you have in state street aid is $30,000, and that's for utilities. Do you have any idea what that's for? Because you can't spend state street aid money for utilities.
okay? So why is it there?
Is that for the street lights?
I would think so.
It cost 30,000.
If it's for streetlights, I would put streetlights in there because
Mhm.
that'll raise a red flag because
Okay.
you can't. State
Okay.
street aid money can only be spent on street
Street.
maintenance and equipment and that sort of thing. But just verify that that's for streetlights. So that leaves you a balance of 14,000, and then it says you also have an ending fund balance in state street aid of $81,000. And there's no expenses planned in the state street aid fund, so you're going to have to come back and amend your budget in state
Yeah.
street aid at some point.
Because
If
we
you
only
wanna do
have
any
$21,000 in street fund.
So it says you have a fund balance of $81,000. So do you know where that money is?
No, sir.
So and that
Well, how come it don't match what we're supposed to have?
I'm working off of the numbers that
Yeah,
we've
I
submitted
know,
in the
I know
budget.
you are, but if he's saying one thing, you working off it, that means something when he's saying.
And so, well, and it's the point I want to make about it is that the budget numbers, these numbers, and the monies and the surpluses you have, and the numbers in all these different funds, they ultimately go into a checking account somewhere. And you've got to make sure that you keep all those numbers separate because You can't spend state street aid money on anything but state street aid. You can't spend gas money on anything but gas, and you can't spend water and sewer on anything but water and sewer. And sanitation is not a legally required fund. You can actually pay for sanitation out of property taxes and not charge a sanitation fee. Nobody does that, but you want to account for it separately and keep up with the true cost of sanitation. So the most important point in all of that is to track the numbers, because when you go back and look at, when you go back and you look at your preliminary reports that you get every month, and you look over in this column, that's the problem. Because for the entire year, look at all these numbers that were overspent, and there were no budget amendments. Y'all didn't amend the budget at all last year. You cannot spend money that's not in the budget. And these balances, these overexpenses here, they were covered by monies out of a checking account somewhere that never got put into the budget and never got spent out of the budget. And that's a financial accounting problem for you. And so in your audit last year, in your audit, as of the end of 25, not the end of 26, you've already had a year gone by since these numbers were published, but your audit 25 said that the gas owes water $572,000. And that's a big number, and I don't know how that happened.
Is that gas owes water or water owes gas?
I'm sorry, water owes gas.
Yes.
I said that backwards. That water owes gas. And so the only way that happened is that the numbers were not covered, like the comptroller said. If you do a transfer from one to the other, you should balance it that day. Somehow time went by and that didn't get balanced, and you got an outstanding problem of $572,000. And so there's all of these transfers. It says the general fund owes water and sewer $145,000, and that gas actually owes the general fund $48,000. So when your auditor came in and said everything was great, he didn't cover any of this. And so that's important, and that's the reason that accounting for the numbers and balancing them up at the end of every month is so important for you to be able to check it, because the longer you go, the bigger the number gets and the bigger the problem gets. And after you have spent the monies that were never in the budget, there's no monies to go get to balance these things out. All of your reserve monies are gone, and you don't have any way of balancing these numbers out. What you do up here to get by at the end of this year is going to be a big problem next year. You've got to you've got to come up with a really big surplus next year in order to be able to level up 2 years of transfers. When you see the 26 number, it could be even worse. So nothing has been done on these numbers yet, and that's a big structural problem with your budget. Those things are ultimately going to have to be addressed.
And plus,
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
This figure up here, and why we're looking for this money, this does not include the $60,000 wire transfer that we need to repay, correct?
No.
No, and
No.
that was in water.
I think so. It was part of the water grant,
Yep.
Yes.
and we lost it.
But that's general fund, so it's not on that page.
So water is substantial enough to absorb that 60, but eventually, you can rob Peter to pay Paul only so long before Peter squeals and says, "You're not getting any more money." but we've got enough money in water to absorb the $60,000 loss. We did get informed by our insurance company they're not going to cover it. So and we still hadn't figured out where they got into our system. Just so y'all know, we don't know whether they got into our system or they got into CEC's system in up north. But somebody was reading our mail.
I
That's what it
think
boiled down to.
one of the things that I would recommend that y'all do, and anybody who has access to your computer, anybody who has the ability to log on to your computers, go through some cybersecurity training. I have access to UT stuff every year. I have to go through and take the cybersecurity training. I have to pass the test or keep doing the training, but it deals with just stuff like that, phishing, and they send us tests all the time. And you'll get a phishing thing. They'll try to trick you into doing something you're not supposed to do. And so I'm defending employees. It is extremely hard to catch all the things that they do because the crooks are getting smarter and smarter. So I highly recommend everybody that has access to your system and everything on your system that you can compartmentalize and get it off the internet. If there's not a wire to it, they can't get to it. So back everything up every day. And then the same thing though is there needs to be some checks and balances on things like that. I'm not saying it will never happen again, because right now across the country there's cyber security attacks going on everywhere, and it happens and everyone's a victim. It's a lot of it, but the best you can do is try to catch up with what tricks they're playing on you and stay as alert as you can. But anyway, I will make all the notes that I can think of, and we will try to get with Ms. Benita on the corrected versions. But as Terry said, may not still be the budget you like. You can still work on it. You can still make changes. And as things come up throughout the year, the board is the ultimate authority on what gets spent and what don't. So if you want to make adjustments throughout the year, you absolutely can.
I can tell all of you, my goal is not only to make it this year, my personal goal is that when we close out next June, general fund will have $100,000 in it. And that will be because we're really watching what we spend. We're going to take advantage of every opportunity we have to increase our revenues and that sort of thing. And that's what my personal goal is for the town of Mason.
I'm sorry.
On that budget, last year's budget 2025, well, we know that a lot of that is like that because we weren't given the monthly thing for over 8 months or longer. However, I also know we are $200 and some thousand in the negative for 2026. So ain't we gonna have to eventually do something about that? Even though we in the negative here trying to find $128,000 and something for 2027.
I talked to Miss Angie about that, and Miss Angie, because I thought originally that we had to balance out for 26.
Well,
We're going to get a finding, and she said that's kind of like closing the door on the Titanic.
I'm tired of all
That's
this
gone.
Because it looks bad on
So-
us either way it goes.
The final thing, and I swear this is the final thing, but you know, core civic revenue doesn't show up anywhere. And even if you're going to put it in a bank account and not spend it, you need to show it as revenue. And so I saved that for last because core civic money is good money. You can use it for emergencies. You can use it for the things that you have to have, but it should be used for capital.
Yeah.
And so you really need to put core civic money in the budget, even though you're not going to spend it, and show it as a reserve fund balance. And that'll help your overall financial position. But then finally, the other thing that's wrong with your budget is y'all not spending enough money on capital expenditures. There's not a lot of building maintenance. There's nothing for roofs. There's nothing for HVAC. Y'all may be in great shape, but no capital expenditures looks a little bit like maybe kicking the can down the road. So I'd take a hard look at what your capital liabilities may be. You know, if you've got things that need to be done, and you're just not doing it, you're just pushing it down the road. So every year you should look at making sure you've got a good handle on the big ticket items that you're going to have to address the next 5 years. Because if you know that there's a big expense looming, you've got to start getting ready for it. You've got to start saving for it. And so just someone takes an overall high level look at your budget, it's going to look good, but you're probably not accomplishing everything you want to accomplish, and you're probably not investing enough in major capital
Like street
expenses.
paving, which comes often.
Yeah. So when you're talking about getting your budget where you need it to be, you need a little bit more money for, you need a little bit more money going into savings every year so you can start spending it. And after you get through this, next year, I recommend you start spending your core civic money for some capital needs, for whatever it is, whether it's paving or repair and maintenance on your roofs. If you have a liability, like, you know, if your HVAC is 20 years old, you're going to have to pay for it. If your roof is 25 years old, you got a big problem, you know, coming. So it's understanding where your maintenance and your liability issues are in the grand scheme of things, and being ready to address them. And that's a great use of core civic. Now, I'm absolutely done.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate
Hopefully
it.
we'll still have money there in course.
All right, we'll move on. Discussion and consideration of the notes of termination of the contract with Peter Bray and the town of Mason.
To comment on that, I trust that y'all got copies of the resume of 2 attorneys that have shown an interest. But I think our contract with Patterson Bray, we got to give them 30 days notice. So, is it the consent of the board for us to put that on next week's agenda to terminate that contract?
Okay.
How are we gonna terminate a contract for a legal team when we haven't put one in place yet? We haven't decided on who we gonna have to replace them as of yet. Although I know you sent, I saw the one that you sent. But my concern is we need to know the pay. We need to know everything before and make a decision before we move somebody out legal and not have a legal to take that place as of yet. Now, putting it on the agenda is one thing. Voting to remove them, and then you don't have anybody else to cover. We gotta, as a
That would be the
municipality-
next item on the agenda, would be to appoint a new city attorney.
But normally you don't
Yeah, they
hire somebody else before you get rid of the.
Yeah.
No, that's not
I
what
mean,
that's not what I'm
Well,
saying.
not hire somebody else. You don't let anybody know who
No,
that you've already got someone.
no, you won't let Allison and Bray know, but we need to know something. I mean, we need to.
well-
We haven't even discussed it as far as if we want this person or that person or the pay they want. Is this gonna be beneficial for us over Patterson and Bray? Yeah, they expensive, but we don't know for the other. As a whole, we need to make that decision. At least have an idea that
I
we
thought
want
I
to replace.
answered those questions in the emails.
Huh?
I said, I thought I answered most of your questions about that in the email.
Well, I must have missed that portion.
Yeah,
He was
he-
on there.
I'm not saying it wasn't, I probably missed it.
He
Uh,
put what they charged and
It's
everything.
what they charge
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, well, I'll go back and look at that.
Vice Mayor.
But we
Now,
can just, we can discuss it. I think it should be on the agenda.
Please.
We
Mhm.
open for discussion, and I feel like that will be a minute part of financial problems that we're looking at, trying to stop the bleeding. And we do have, from what I understand, interest from attorneys, qualified attorneys, who are interested in coming in and helping our town out. But as far as my opinion, yes, I think it is something we need to add to our agenda.
Yeah.
To discuss.
If we,
Well, I wasn't saying not to add it, I was just saying we need to have some idea of who we might wanna.
if we can interview a couple people, but at the end of the day, if we need some assistance with legal, MTS provide us with service free. We're gonna have to pay for nothing.
We also have
PEP.
Yeah.
If we-
Yeah,
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 whatever it
30
is, but we're gonna meet people, we'll discuss whatever the person, he or she, whatever it is, we'll discuss. See how it goes.
I think the charter states that you will have a city attorney. I believe I read
Yeah,
that
we
in
do,
the charter.
Yeah.
Now, we can rely on MTAS, certainly for questions about a specific thing, but I don't think we can. And I put $36,000 in the budget for a city attorney. And I've talked to both of these attorneys, and I have experience with both of these attorneys. And I think that we won't spend $36,000 a year unless something comes up that we have to use an attorney that I'm not aware of at this point, because I know Tom Miner. He's the county attorney for Fayette County. He's also the attorney for Oakland. Oakland's 48,000 people, and they've got a lot of stuff going over there, big grants and projects and everything. And he tells me the most he's ever billed them was $2,500 a month. And so I don't see us using him near as much as Oakland will. Kevin Snyder, likewise, he's the attorney up at Bolivar. His rates are right in line with Tom's. So it's y'all's choice as to which one of those, or if you've got someone else you want to bring in, that's fine. But I think we can meet our budget number by changing attorneys. We cannot, because we're going to have 2 months, if not 3 months, at this $6,700 a month. And so,
No, actually, when we give them a 30-day notice, we only have to pay them for 30 days.
right,
It doesn't matter when it falls
Right.
on.
I understand.
That's what we
But-
pay them for. So
I just have one
do
question.
y'all want that on the agenda?
Yeah,
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
but I do
Ms.
have
Lou
a
and I'll put
question.
there.
Mr. Leggett,
All right.
I noticed that everybody bringing either from Fayette County somewhere up in that area or somewhere back that way. Ain't nobody in Tipton County that you know can do the job?
I don't know attorneys in Tipton County.
I've
That's
talked
why
to
I'm going to
everyone.
rely on y'all to
But I know
tell
a lot of
me.
them don't want to fool with us.
I want y'all to tell me if you have a better idea.
No, I'm just asking the
Yeah.
question.
I'm going through my Rolodex as to who I know that I feel like could do us a good job. And that's it.
We
We're gonna
go
keep our
further and
options
further
open.
because Tipton County.
But the culture is changing here in Mason, and we establishing new contexts, new relationships, a new way to do business, and all that's gonna change. God willing, it's going to change, and we will be able to branch out. But right now, his contacts are Fayette County based. My contacts Fayette County based, and we're reaching out to other people. So it's not like a good old boy system. We're not going to that. That's not contrary to popular. No, I'm saying I want to address something that's been put out there. That it's not. We're not going to that good old boy system, and we're not selling nothing out. We're changing the culture. We're going in the right direction.
All right.
Something to keep in mind in attorneys and using attorneys is is that their time and advice is their stock and trade. And so when you pick up the phone and call an attorney, he's billing you. And so you have to be careful what you call them for. If it's a simple thing, call them tasks. If you ask them to come and sit through a board meeting, you have to pay for the time it takes them to get here, the time they have to sit through the meeting and leave. If you don't have anything on the agenda that's going to be controversial and is going to rise to the level of needing a legal opinion, don't ask them to come and sit through your board meetings. They don't need to be here. In advance of things you know that are going to be contentious, call them, get them to review it. They may give you the advice and then not have to sit through the meeting. But just a simple board meeting can be 3 hours for just $240 an hour times 3 hours. And sometimes you just don't need them to actually be here.
We don't need babysitters.
If you get to that point, if you get to some point in the meeting where you don't know what to do, table it, get the attorney to come in and do it next time.
All right.
Sorry.
Thank you. We'll move on for discussion for determinant the town administrator Terry Lane work schedule. What you got, Mr. Terry?
I have been working with Patterson Bray through my attorney. I asked for a contract for $100,000 a year. Since I've been here for 3 months, the city cannot afford it. I'll be the first to tell you y'all can't afford that. I'm not working for the money. I work for the satisfaction of helping the city. What I have discussed with some of the aldermen is if y'all want to hire me, I would like to get $1,000 a week. That's a little bit more than what I'm making right now. And give me a contract that says my hours and days off are undetermined. Because we have made great progress in 3 months. I don't have to be here 40 hours a week. I would like to be able to come in maybe 3 days a week for sure. I may be here 5 days a week. I'll be at meetings. I'm this far away from everything that needs to be done in this town. And my business is down here in Galloway. So if something needs to be signed, I can run up here, sign it, and we're good. If I need to stay 40 hours a week, I'll stay 40 hours a week. If I can do it in 20 hours a week, I'll do it in 20 hours a week. But I am working with the city on the phone as much as I am in the office, and I can do that. If I made $100,000 a week, I could give you 40 hours a week, and I could hire somebody to do the stuff that I'm ignoring because I'm not able to be at my job, at my business. So I would throw that out to y'all as an offer. And if y'all think that works, I will have my attorney, who is Gerald Lawson. He's a city attorney for Arlington and Millington, and he was my city attorney down at Galloway. And I've talked to him about coming up here as city attorney, and he says he's too busy. But he'll prepare a contract, and I will give it to you, and the board can vote on it. Now, if y'all want to discuss this, I'll be more than happy to leave the room. If y'all don't want me here, y'all kick it around, discuss it, and let Ms. Lou know whether or not we need to put that on the agenda for a contract. And just to give you an idea, I just brought this up. City manager, I get these every day. 111 jobs at $275,000 a year. I don't want to move. I don't want to travel. I don't think that you're going to find, I don't know of any city managers around here that make less than $100,000 a year. I think I can work with the city. I think I can get the job done. I will get the job done. I'll just put it like that. if y'all give me a contract, I will get the job done. I don't know whether you've had any inquiries of anybody that wants to do it for any less. If you do, then more power to you. I will not leave unhappy, but I'm just telling you, the city needs somebody to manage the city, and I've tried to do that. I've got a gas contract coming to y'all. I sent you something on that. I think they can save us $3,000 to $5,000. I think there's a lot of things that we can do over the next year that are going to save you. I think I could save you $100,000, but I don't want to obligate the city for that at this point. Now, if you give me a year's contract, when it comes up, if I'm able to put $100,000 in the bank, we'll discuss salaries on the next contract.
All right.
Would y'all like for me to leave so you can discuss it? If it makes you more
Mr.
comfortable.
Megan, I do have a question. Now,
Yes,
you say
ma'am.
your work schedule. Are you saying $1,000 a week for 40 hours? That
No,
is what
ma'am.
you said,
$1,000
right?
a week with days off and hours undetermined. I will be here when necessary, but I'll be in the office probably 2 to 3 days a week, 8 hours a day. But I may pop in and stay 2 or 3 hours, get everything signed that I need to sign, and then there's no use in me sitting here if the checks have been signed, the invoices have been signed, and everything is running along smooth. I'm finding that out now. I have more free time now than I had 3 months ago when I first came here. When I first came here, it was every time you lifted up a rock, there was something under it. Now we've kicked most of those rocks over, and we've got a good idea of where the city is, where the city's going, and I don't think the city can afford $100,000 city manager right now.
Okay.
Let me leave and y'all discuss that, and y'all call me in when you're ready, or tell me to keep going. Whatever works for you.
Mr. Bill, do you think we can have that? Think about it. He's open, and we'll make another call meeting Thursday, so we can put in the agenda what you decide. You guys decide you go with it or without it, or because I have another ideas. We're gonna save a lot of money for the town. Did you know? Actually, to me, we didn't need this kind of expenses more. We have Miss Lou and we have Miss Vanita. Both of them experienced. He can run the town every single day. So
We have to have a town administrator.
Yes, we
though.
do.
it's okay. Town administrator, she can be Miss Lou or Miss Vanita, and both of them
They
working
can't
each
be-
other.
They can't be,
You
they
know, we
can't be
don't
the
have to
administrator,
have-
Mayor. We gotta have administrator.
Okay,
That's
we
the
we
charge.
got Miss Vanita. Is it the charge?
She's not
She
an
doesn't have
administrator.
the-
She can't be.
No.
I already talked with that. With Ronnie Neal, he said
Well,
yes.
my
you
answer
can.
is no.
Okay, this is your opinion, all right?
Well, you asked for it.
Okay.
Well,
this is your
the
opinion.
thing is that we're looking at right now, she doesn't come to the meetings and we can't get the reports we need. So for us to think that she could take on the job that is twice as much work as what she's doing now, it's kind of hard to
You guys
go with that.
He break the
No.
back, guys. You know, you,
You
see
know
what kind of
you
job
know
you
what
do
I'm
with the
saying.
head of
I'm
it.
saying
Come on,
it's
guys.
no.
I feel like
Oh.
we should continue to actively pursue someone else. I
Right,
don't
we have to get application
honestly
somewhere else.
because
I agree
we
with
should
that.
never stop looking.
That's
This
right.
was interim from the beginning, and then what was supposed to be understood. Understand we got a lot of changes, and it's hard to change horses in the middle of a race when we got a lot of things at play. This is a budget crisis. We got funding crisis, and we also spending. I don't mean to cut you short. I'm sorry, because it look like we sharing the same thought, and you trying to finish what I'm getting ready to say. But right now, we have to have someone who's qualified to do the job, and also willing to do the job for what we can afford. We can't afford what it really costs to have a city administrator. We really can't afford a city administrator.
I can't believe that that's the least amount. I think there are some. You know pretty much more about what city administrators make for small towns. Has it been your experience or whatever that all of them, even for a small town this size, it's over $100,000? Is that just
A lot of the really small towns in Tennessee. By the way, as of July 1, all of your state shared revenues are going to be based on population. And I got the estimated population report back. Y'all grew by 5 people. So you went from 1,380 something to 1,300 something, 1,342. So y'all's population went up by 5. But y'all are a little over 1,300 people, right? And cities that small, they have people who are serving as a town administrator in the $60,000 range. And many of small cities don't work 5 days a week. They're not even open 5 days a week. Many of them are closed on Wednesday afternoon or closed on Friday, and many of them close at 4 in the afternoon. So one of the ways they do it is by reduced hours, and the other is small town cities like this can't afford $75,000. So there's places around the state where you've got some pretty good managers that are just not wanting to be in the fray of a large city and big problems, and local people are doing a pretty good job at, I think y'all are probably going to have to offer somewhere in around of $60,000 a year to get someone who's a good financial manager and who understands compliance issues. Because if you don't know there's a rule, the next thing you know, you're upside down because you didn't do something you didn't know you weren't supposed to do. But
I think he just threw this at us, and I think that we need time to think about it. I don't think we can just sit here and make a decision.
Well, we can think, I agree, we can think
Well,
about
this
it.
is discussed.
But he's
No,
right.
not.
We didn't do a good, thorough search.
Well, we weren't
just
given a
landed in-
chance to
It just
do
landed
a
in our
search.
laps one day.
We
Right.
weren't given a chance to do
Accepted it
anything.
because of the change.
But this is where we weren't given an opportunity to look for nobody. It was sent.
Yeah, because the church,
However, we got to give credit where credit is due. He has come in, has done a good job so far. Now, if we go get somebody else, we're gonna be looking at $60,000 a year or more. He's only what he's asking for is a total. That's gonna end up being $48,000 a year. It's right. It's 48,000. And what he asking for is 48,000. That's less than what we're gonna find somebody else for. Even though he's
$52.
$1,000 a week, which is $4,000 a month, and 12 months. That's 48,000 a year.
I understand, but he's not saying that he's
It's
going.
52,000.
But he's not saying he's
He's saying
going to
a
be
week.
here 3 days a week. He says
It's
he
as
wants it
determined.
to be as determined, which means we won't know when he.
No,
He
but
could
it is a
either
week.
be.
No,
No,
he said
we
it was
can
set
make that
days and
decision.
hours. We
Yeah.
also said it was set days and hours in the contract.
Yeah, he said whatever set days and hours you put in there.
Right.
Contract.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just discussed it. It's nothing concrete, and right now we need to make sure we just discuss it and think about it. But at the same time, I don't think we need to just, even if I do want to show my dope. I don't think. Did I say that out loud?
You did. But
You didn't hear that. You didn't hear that.
um,
But
I didn't hear it.
but I have to look at it realistically, what we actually need and what we could be up against. We've come a long way from where we were. Now I'm gonna give credit where credit due, and we get the material that we need. We getting better than what we were. We just need to work on our finance person, because our figures are not like they're supposed to be. They hadn't been in a while. That's where we need to focus at. And as far as what he's asking, I think that we already paying him, what is it, 30, it's almost 40,000 anyway.
Yeah, he's getting Miss
Davis salary
right now.
So we ain't giving him much more.
The whole problem should have been corrected. We wouldn't have had the city administrative problem. If that problem had been corrected. That,
What problem?
Miss
I don't want to repeat
Well,
names.
before
but
you
that
consider
position
that,
was okay. We're gonna go by position. That position was not being properly filled, and the job was not being adequately done, and it wasn't. The information wasn't being presented properly, and this was for what I came in at. And now we are getting the numbers. We are getting the information that we need, and we can make better decisions as a whole. But I don't want to get hung up in emotions and get tied, connect to a person.
No, we not.
You know,
But we can't just throw it out the door like a,
now I wouldn't mistreat anyone.
yeah.
But
But I'm just
business
saying,
is
we still
still
can look.
business.
We still can advertise.
And then that's
We
what
had
I'm.
one person.
was
We
gonna
had
say-
one person that did respond, but that person don't even stay here in the city.
Correct.
So we can't
Married
deal
or
with
something
stuff
like
like
that.
that.
Maybe
Yeah.
he was
But
willing
let me-
to relocate.
let me
But he
just,
was asking for way more money than that.
well, wait a minute. I want you to consider everything, okay? Because he will expect, even for that, for the 48,000, he will expect a vehicle like he has now, that he's driving a town vehicle everywhere. He's using it, take home, come back. He just assumed that that would be one of the things that he got. No one told him to do that, but he did it. So I'm sure he would want to continue that. Okay. And of course, if there's any travel or meals or whatever, he also would expect us to cover those things in the course of business.
And
So
I guess
I want you to consider
And I
that
ain't
in
paying
addition
for it.
to
You
the
paying
pay.
That's enough.
I would suggest we put in the contract about the
Whatever
vehicle
we
for one,
want,
we
we can
turn
put
it
in the
in.
contract.
Right. The meals and the travel that's not included in his hours of working here, of course, I don't feel like we need to add that in the contract.
And
I say put it on the agenda.
for the sake of brevity,
It was.
because time's ticking.
Put it on
There's
the-
some more things that we need to address, especially those vehicles. I'm glad y'all brought it up. Personal vehicles, because I got car papers I had to make to get to work. And nobody gave me no keys. Said, "Here, go drive and do what you want to do."
Well, that was another thing we were gonna talk about.
Yeah. So
Say
Well,
so
much.
But
What
got
we talking about
We
cutting?
need to have a vehicle policy. We don't have.
We
one,
have one.
but it's not up to date.
Yes, it is.
And we
I'm
not
sorry,
sent
but I thought it was sent to you. I thought you were gonna send it to him.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, we have.
So, ladies and gentlemen, are we gonna put this on
See
the
you next week.
agenda?
All right.
I say yes, put it on the agenda.
We're gonna
So we're gonna
address
now.
it at
I was going to say, I'm going to address it at the
the
board
board
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah, why not? I mean, that's what he wants, to put it on the agenda.
Well,
What do
we
y'all
have
wanna
to
do?
be ready,
I just
prepared
think we're gonna
for
be just like we are now.
both
You put down the
situations, a yes or a no. We gotta be
We
prepared
we
for
ain't making
both.
no
You wanna get more time to search it or
Right.
advertise
we
it?
need, we need time to
Maybe
advertise.
Give it more time by the next month.
Yeah.
more time to make a
Yeah,
decision.
of course. We ain't going down that road.
Yeah.
That rabbit hole.
I
Y'all
say- I
gonna put it
say
on the
look,
agenda or not? It's
I know,
not getting
right?
any earlier. I'm ready to go home.
Yeah, it's after nine.
All right, guys, that's it. Appreciate it. Closing
So what
prayer.
we're gonna do, y'all, we're gonna put it on the agenda, we're gonna carry it over,
Not carry over
For the
until
meeting?
we
or just table it, or
T-
what
I
do
say
you all
put it
wanna
on the
do?
agenda.
we
That's
advertise
me.
for it.
For the fourth, I'll say put it on the agenda, that's me. That's me.
We
They need to
advertise
prolong
for it until we see what we can do. Maybe we can get another offer. Like the vice mayor, he said.
Let's vote.
Let's
Put it on the
Let's
No,
vote
we
to
can't.
put it on the
Yeah,
agenda.
y'all
Everybody
vote
in
just-
favor, just vote. We put it on the agenda because
Can we vote at a workshop?
This is,
This
Or
is
just
just
say
to
whether
put
or
it on
not-
the
Yeah,
agenda.
just- we just
We
might
not
put it
voting
on the
anything.
just stating to put it on the, however we need to do it.
yeah, y'all can y'all can reach a consensus either by affirmation or show of hands,
Okay.
but.
Put it on. I say put it on
It's
the
on the
agenda.
agenda, we gonna vote on it anyway.
It's gonna be a
That's
deadlock.
everybody, Mr.
It's gonna be a deadlock anyway.
So that's all,
All right.
to put it on the
Closing
agenda.
prayer. That's it. Closing prayer. Vice Mayor.
Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all the people who were able to show up here tonight to actively try to solve the problems that this town is facing and come up with some positive resolutions. We thank you and ask for traveling grace for everyone on the way home. Get us all home safely. In the name of your son, Jesus Christ, this is you. Amen.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
You need a motion to adjourn this little.
Motion to adjourn.
Where's your, I think, where's your paper? Where's your paper?
Oh, yeah.